So, we all know that random crits are terrible and make for an incredibly frustrating feature and a skillless mechanic in TF2. But, does that make all the RNG systems inherently bad? Let's talk about that. Random Spread, the lesser-known red-headed stepchild of TF2's discussions on the downsides of the word random being implemented in games. However, it's often compared to random crits and considered in much the same way. However, I don't believe the common conception is a fair or accurate view, a view that is misguided through mishandled comparison and misunderstood mechanics. And so, let's explain some things, starting with some definitions. Random Spread is a gameplay feature, most prevalent in hit-scan weapons, generally affecting weapons with either a high rate of fire or wide area of spray. It functions by having pellets, or in some cases projectiles, scattered at various angles within a preset and limited area, best visualized as a cone. Its purpose is to balance such weapons with a forced inconsistency, making them more difficult to utilize at longer ranges, as well as giving those weapons a bit more realistic mechanic to function by. Compare that to random crits, a social feature that randomly and unpredictably grants most weapons with a 300% damage boost, with a varying scale of probability and no way to predict or manage. Its purpose is to be a social feature, or as the developers put it, to heighten the highs and lower the lows of the game, making for funny and frustrating moments to be created spontaneously and without any control from any player, be it the receiver or the victim. Now looking at these definitions, it should be very clear that random crits and random spread are quite different in functionality, usability, and purpose. Random spread is a functional gameplay feature meant to enforce the required ranging and tracking of certain weapons, while incorporating a bit of realism into weapon functionality. On the other hand, random crits is a broken social feature, sacrificing the inconsistency and integrity of gameplay for forced moments of spontaneity. Still, definitions aren't the entirety of the problem and not likely to change everyone's minds, as I'm sure many of those who came into this video with an oppositional opinion have specific complaints and even examples to back up their positions, and I'd like to address those. The most common grievances I hear about random spread fall into one of two categories. The first being that random spread is an RNG system, therefore unpredictable, unmanageable, and therefore takes skill from the player's hands as they will never know precisely how their shots will land. And the second is a bit more specific, generally involving this particular scenario, a Frontier Justice crit shot being fired only to do 18 damage. This kind of example can be simplified to say that some claim that random spread makes weapons inconsistent. To address the first, it is technically right, but only if you look at the surface. Random spread does in fact spread randomly, making pellets and projectiles stray at various unpredictable angles. However, there is a hard limit to how much it will do this. Remember when I defined random spread earlier? Remember the cone? Good! There is a limit to random spread, and once you realize that, you understand exactly the area your shots will be in. From there, it is just a matter of learning good tracking habits to maximize your accuracy, such as aiming for center mass, learning predict movement, and knowing the proper ranges of your weapon. All skill-based and game sense-based things that do increase your skill and that random spread forces you to learn. To answer the second grievance, I'll refer to the first one a bit, since there is quite a bit of overlap. True, in the example provided, an 18 damage Frontier Justice crit shot sounds inconsistent at face value. But there are other factors I don't think are considered in that example, such as, when the shot was taken, was your aim centered properly to maximize spread accuracy? Were you firing at a target that was further than the optimal range of the shotgun? There's a lot to consider, and when you think about it, chances are the inconsistency was actually human error. Your aim was off, or you were trying to snipe with a shotgun. Either way, there's ways to improve. Work on your tracking, get in the proper range. I'm sure you'll notice an improvement in damage consistency and general gameplay when you do. Overall, I think that random spread gets a bad rap, and I'd say it's because people who don't fully understand it are looking for something to blame for their own inadequacies in-game. It's perfectly easy to understand, simple to visualize, and easy to adapt to. In fact, if you were to implement a fixed spread system, nothing would change with how it would be handled by the player. You'd still have to learn to track, you'd still have to center your aim, and you'd still have to keep your engagements to their proper range. So, to conclude, random spread isn't bad in any sense, and it shouldn't be held in the shadow and shame of random crits. Practice a little bit, and I'm sure you'll see improvement. Instead of blaming mechanics in the game all the time, look to see where you can improve. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it informative and enlightening. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications, and check out my Discord and Steam group, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!